Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. The roadmap has been updated, and there are some pretty cool new additions, so today we will run through them. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you guys so much for the support, it is truly appreciated. So firstly, let us kick off by taking a look at the release viewer and some new additions there, plus with many of 3.17.2's features now committed. Now, the first new addition is the Derelict Reclaimer Space Missions, which says a variety of handcrafted, narratively unique missions that have been created for new Derelict Reclaimer wreck sites in space. And this is new to Alpha 3.17.2, but it has also been marked as committed now. So pretty exciting to hear that we're not just having some basic generic mission sets at these space wrecks. They sound as though they're going to be a lot more in depth with actual storylines attached. So pretty thrilled to see what these involve, with hopefully more depth than what we currently see available. Now, these next few deliverables are all committed and changed to blue for Alpha 3.17.2. First one being the additional Stanton-Lagrange points, which are just additional rest stop locations surrounding Microtech and ArtCorp. Nothing too exciting there, but still nice to get. The AI planetary navigation mesh is also committed, which says it allows NPCs to move on planetary surfaces, with the first implementation of this feature found at the Reclaimer Derelict points of interest. So basically, NPCs capable of being on a planet's surface, moving around the planet's surface where they need to go, and no longer being restricted to internal spaces. Which actually leads nicely onto the next one, being the Derelict Reclaimer Settlement. Now, it was mentioned in last fortnight's update that the Derelict Reclaimer point of interest was coming in for 3.17.2, but it never specified that it was going to be the settlement. I just assumed it would just be the basic wreck site where you can go and explore, like what we see with the caterpillars. But it now says that this is the settlement, which is to be used as a proof of concept point of interest that sets the stage for additional settlements to come, and this location will be populated with traditional missions and loot. So I am pretty ecstatic that the Reclaimer Derelict Settlement is making its way in this soon for 3.17.2, which is, I think, actually just about to start rolling out to the PTU, maybe. This is a big one for me because A, it provides the very first secondary, or I suppose tertiary, living area for NPCs. As CIG have mentioned in the past many times, they want planets dotted with not just main landing zones like the ones that we have now, but secondary landing zones, towns, villages, settlements, and everything in between. But also B, it's a new location to act as a place to find missions and loot, like what you would see in pretty much every MMO out there. And then finally C, it's the very first place outside of cities where NPCs are living independently. So for me, this is a huge step to getting the planets feeling like they are actually inhabited, all the while providing more missions, more locations to explore, and this makes me very happy. Now, what missions will we see here? I don't know, but as I've mentioned in the past, just simple, can you go to location X to get me item Y and deliver it to Z? These sort of simple missions are fine. It would be a great starting point just having these as new points of interest. But when it says traditional missions, I feel that could be one of them, but like other MMOs, maybe simple missions that they request, like can you go and gather me 5 Heart of the Wood mushrooms? Just simple things like that I would be more than content with keeping me entertained. And as we know, prior to getting the nav mesh implemented, they did say that the Reclaimer Settlement already had 3 missions available, with them then stating that they are waiting for the nav mesh to expand on the mission types and availability. So do expect at minimum 3 missions available at these settlements, with hopefully a few more now that the nav mesh is actually implemented. So big deal for me there, and I can't believe it is the next patch that we will be exploring these places. Now, the next deliverable to be committed for 3.17.2 is the illegal delivery missions, which are variants of the standard delivery missions, but now including reputation gains with criminals. So nothing too exciting here, but definitely an overdue option for criminals to make money and earn rep. So a nice new addition for 3.17.2. And the final committed feature is the Siege of Orison, which is, as we all know, the Nine Tails dynamic event that is happening over at Crusader. And I'm expecting a lot more information on this tonight, actually, on Inside Star Citizen, with it being Thursday. So if you are watching this tomorrow, on Friday or later, you will already know more than I do. So yeah, 3.17.2 is looking already like a pretty decent patch to keep us entertained while we're waiting for 3.18. But now let's move on to the progress tracker, as they have extended the upstream teams to include Q1 for 2023, with more teams, they say, being added in a future update. And these following deliverables are all now included on the progress tracker. The first new feature is called Salvage Vehicle Munching, of all words, which says implementing the ability to transform large chunks of metal salvaged from ships into a refinable material. This will use the grinder system aboard salvage ships like the Vulture and the Reclaimer. Now this is what I'm talking about, chewing up ships on scale. So with the initial version of salvaging coming this year, the very basic scraping of the hull, vehicle munching is scheduled to begin its work at the end of September, lasting until the end of March next year. So a little while until we can see that come along, but hopefully the Tier 0 salvage will keep us entertained while we wait to see this. Next up, we have freight elevators, and this says implementation of systems and content for players to physically load and unload cargo to and from their ships by conveying cargo to and from hangars, landing pads, garages, and docking collars. Now, the work on this also kicks off at the end of September and lasts 23 weeks, finishing around the end of February. So this will involve going to a commodity kiosk, ordering the cargo as you do normally, and then instead of it being just instantly propelled into your ship, this cargo will then be physically delivered to a location like a hangar or a landing pad, freight elevator, allowing you to physically load it yourself, or hopefully one day soon, or when this comes along, hiring NPCs to do it for you. Now this feature I do suspect will coincide with the persistent hangars as well, which has work underway already, finishing around mid-November, and I really look forward to the day when I can just sit with a cup of coffee, watching the NPCs moving boxes and cargo from the elevator to my ship and vice versa. Just living that life of a hauler. So a great feature that will help to shape the hauling profession more to where it needs to be. Now the next feature is called New Player Experience, which says it is an initiative to improve the initial first 30 minutes of the gameplay experience, which will help players understand the context of the world and introduce them to some of Star Citizen's basic features, which they say will also include updates to landing zones, spaceports, hubs, shops, and more. Star Citizen is a very complicated game, and as it continues to expand and develop, it's going to get even more complicated. So having a smooth, robust onboarding experience is pretty vital, not just getting players into the game, but keeping them there. So very happy to hear that they are looking to expand on this, as it is a bit of an ongoing issue, and I hear it all the time on streams from new players not having a clue what to do because nothing is really explained. So very happy to hear this is coming along. This initiative has 19 weeks work that kicks off right at the beginning of July, finishing early November. So the next one is pretty interesting. It is called Player-Machine Physical Interaction, which is the initial implementation of animations that shows the player interacting with ship controls and items, which includes pushing buttons, flicking switches, and interacting with other areas of the cockpit. And it will also include other machines and items, including locker doors. So basically, physical interactions with ships and items inside of ships to give that tactile, realistic feeling that you are actually reaching out and interacting with the world and things aren't just automatically opening or toggling, which we will eventually see with all things in the verse, from control panels, weapon attachments, and everything else. And this deliverable has 14 weeks work that kicked off towards the end of September and finishes late December. Now this next new addition to the progress tracker is pretty exciting. Well, the next two are pretty exciting. It is the Aegis Retaliator base, which is building, implementing, and balancing the base variant of the Aegis multi-crew combat ship, the Retaliator, as a game-ready vehicle. Now, we already have the Aegis Retaliator in-game, but it is the torpedo boat, which is not necessarily the base variant, so I'm assuming this means likely the cargo variant, perhaps, as the torpedo variant is more of a module to be swapped in and out, if I remember correctly, and I think the Retaliator torpedo option or variant was put into game first because it was needed for Squadron. So I do suspect or hope that this will include the room swapping ability for the Retaliator and its gold standard pass, as both of these deliverables have work that finished in 2021. And I think the ship state capabilities were holding it up somewhat, I believe, which we now see with the Hull A and the Scorpius being able to move things like the extending cargo grids and the turret irrespective of the landing gear. So hopefully we'll be able to see the Retaliator as it's intended to be in its gold standard with the ability to swap out rooms, but the Retaliator base work lasts 11 weeks, kicks off at the beginning of January and finishes around mid-March. Now the final new addition to the progress tracker is the Anvil Crucible, which states building, implementing and balancing Anvil's ship repair platform as a game-ready vehicle. This is very exciting to see, with it showing it only has 4 weeks work, which kicks off around February until March, which is very strange. I thought it would require a bit more than that. But this is an awesome ship that has been on the back burner for a long while. It's one of those legacy ships that has just been untouched for many years. So great to see it finally getting some love. It is a repair ship where you can literally land a small fighter inside the ship and repair it, get to work on it with tools and cranes and all sorts of stuff. And I assume it'll be taking what we will see in 3.18 with repair and building on that with more functionality and depth to properly flesh out the repair mechanic. I also wonder to what extent physical components will be at then. Will we be able to interact with them, swap them, remove them? We will see. But a great ship that will be so much fun to use, fixing up other players' or NPC ships. Now to finish off this epic roadmap update, there is one removal. It is the room depressurization, with CIG saying, due to additional priority being put on the salvaging work, this is being removed from the progress tracker temporarily until it is rescheduled. So it's not gone for good, it is just the team who would work on this are focused on getting salvaging done. Obviously, once those resources free up again, they will bring room depressurization back in and the team will work on it. So a shame to see that this is being removed for the time being, but I am more than happy to see salvaging getting more love, and I am okay with this. So there you have it, quite the update with some very exciting features now included for 3.17.2. Not just included, but committed, plus many great new additions to the progress tracker, like those 2 new ships, and salvaging finally the full-on reclaimer salvaging munching system. I am very eager to get into 3.17.2 and check out this content-rich patch. It really is content-rich. And personally, I feel there will be more than enough to keep me going while we wait for 3.18 to go live, although I'm certain I will be spending equal, if not more time on the PTU, checking 3.18 out instead. Very exciting times ahead. Cannot wait to see it all come together. But with that said, that is this fortnight's roadmap update. If you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. Also, I am looking to get back into streaming again next week, next Monday, so do come and hang out over at twitch.tv/supermacbrother. You are all more than welcome. Hopefully we'll be playing a PTU 3.17.2 sometime next week, we will see. Hit the like button if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and if you would like to be notified whenever my videos go live, just tick that little notification bell. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.